Hey, how are you guys? Good to see you guys on a Saturday afternoon or morning, depending on where you're at. So, let me get these in my ears so I can make sure I'm not blasting you. What's going on, Michelle from Massachusetts? Good to see you. As we do every single weekend, let's figure out who we're hanging out with this Saturday afternoon. Where are you guys from today? While I get this fixed up, hold on. What's going on, Dawn? Good to see you. Happy weekend. Tom watching from Massachusetts as well. Cooper says, missing it today. That's okay. The replay is always fantastic to watch. I think the interaction now on the new YouTube app has actually helped me a ton with the live chat. You can watch that back every single time. I think that's really helpful. What's going on, Chris? Good to see you, my friend. Chad, good to see you. DCL from Hunters Creek. There's no houses for sale in Hunters Creek right now. It is kind of wild. I had a client of mine reach out. They're like, hey, we want a pool home. We got a really healthy budget. We want to be in Hunters Creek. And I was like, oh, yeah, slam dunk. There's nothing for sale. It's crazy. Good to see you guys. What's up, Johnny? Good to see you, my friend. How's it sound for you guys? Loud wise. Not sure if I should turn it up on my side so I know it's working or if we're good to go. I've got a lot of content to get into today. We've got a lot of the headline title today was that builders lag behind. We're going to talk a lot about the builders and kind of what's going on with them right now, what we're seeing in the Orlando area as well as a lot of big announcements with developers, again, spending a lot of money buying land and kind of with their prep. And where does that leave us when we have builders lagging behind, but then developers still trying to develop? Where does that leave us, right? It's going to be, I think, a packed day for you guys. I also decided that I'm going to really slow down to make sure that we spread around the news for all of Orlando, not just the theme park area right around Disney, but then some stuff going on downtown, stuff going on in Neocity, which I've never talked about on our live show today, but we're diving into that today. And then, still right around Disney, because so many of you guys watch, because we talk about Disney. We talk about Horizon West and Celebration and all of the things going on here. So it's going to be a good show today. I appreciate Vanessa. Thanks for giving me a heads up on what's going on with the sound. I appreciate it. Volume control. That's why we have, Reginald says that's why we have volume control. I appreciate it. All right, I've got my coffee. Let's get into this today. Foxtail was a little too far away today, so I had to go into something else. So this is an interesting story. So for those guys that don't know about Neocity, Neocity is this area of Kissimmee, and let me pull up a map to kind of show you exactly where it's at. So you've got up here is Hunters Creek. Over to the left, you've got Celebration. Actually, let me change this. This will be a better one for you. Drop the banner. Boom. All right, cool. So you've got Celebration off to our west here. And then just south of Neocity is the big Lake Toho. East Toho. You've got Lake Nona up here. And then just south down 91, you've got this area called Neocity. And so they're basically deciding to put a ton of money here. I've got a friend of mine. He actually lives here in Winter Garden. He's he's in the education department over at Neocity Academy. And they're doing kind of things a little bit differently over there. Instead of just the normal K through 8 or K through 12, they're digging into more STEM, hands-on stuff with the kids. And it almost sounds like Montessori meets STEM meets, it's a really cool kind of idea. But in this area, they're going to bring a lot of high-tech jobs. They want this to be the high-tech hub of Orlando. And so basically, again, just south of Lake Nona, maybe 20 minutes, about 15, 20 minutes east of Celebration. But here's what popped up this week in the news. This was just actually yesterday. South Korea tech magnate proposes $1.2 billion town center for Osceola's Neocity. So he basically bought, for $14 million, bought this 25 acres right in the heart of where they're going to be building all of this, to build this town center. And so what the story goes is that they're going to be building town center, jobs, a lot of restaurants, shopping, obviously places to live, apartments, that kind of thing. But $1.2 billion. Again, I think I've said this on my show before. We stopped seeing all of these these $10 million developments or $50 million developments. People just jump right into that $1 billion mark. But I think this is going to be a really great thing, because if you look at our map, what we've got going on here, bring this back up for you. there's not a ton going on down here. You've got a little bit going on with Celebration here. I'll show you the satellite map because it really tells the story even more. Because you can see where this stuff has actually been built out. Celebration's over here and Disney's off to our west. But you've got all of this, is a lot of conservation right up in here. There's plenty of land to build all around these lakes, but they just haven't been. Osceola County is actually 75% rural still. That's why like Sunbridge with Tavistock is going to be really huge. Neocity is going to be really huge. And so while you might not live in Neocity immediately, it is going to be something that I think when we're looking for new jobs, better paying jobs coming to Orlando, all of these things I think are going to be really something we want to dig into as things unfold. And so it's been really amazing to see what's going on. What's going on, Michelle? At Four Seasons, that's great. Four Seasons in Golden Oak or Four Seasons with Khov? Which one? Just curious. All right, so let's get into some of these other stories along the way, and I'll definitely dig in your questions along the way. That's what the show really becomes, is like this Q&A at the end, which I think is amazing. I love spending time with you guys answering your questions. But let's get through a couple more stories before we really dive into some more questions. So Disney announces new retail tenants for Flamingo Crossing. And if you're not familiar with where Flamingo Crossing is, it's over on Western Way. You're just going to basically, Western Way, I'll pipe this up for you quick. Why is this important? Western Way, you've got Walt Disney World right here, and then off to the west, they've opened up this Western Way. It goes all the way back through, down to 429, over into Avalon and that sort of thing. And so Disney's got this new Flamingo Crossing. Why is that even important? Well, I'm going to bring this question over here. If you guys ever checked out like 535, and there's all of those restaurants on 535 right across the street from Disney Springs, well, that's now all closed. This is what it looks like. I took this picture last week. All the things over there are now closed because the Florida Department of Transportation said, hey, that 535 I-4 Disney Springs exchange is a nightmare. And so we're actually going to do eminent domain. And they paid, I think it was Disney and whoever else owns the land over there, like hundreds of millions of dollars for these really small area of land to be able to do a better turnaround, help us with traffic in that area, which I think is positive. But what I noticed is that Disney's taking a lot of these shops over here, kind of relocating some of them over to Flamingo Crossing, but then some of them, they're not coming, which I think is good. And so here's a list of some of the stuff that's going to be over there. And if you live in Horizon West, this is going to be great. If you live in Kissimmee, like West Kissimmee, this is going to be great. If you live in Celebration, you want to go up World Drive, up and around, this will be really great for you. So here's kind of some of the things that Disney has announced at Flamingo Crossing. Some new stuff, Hash House a Go-Go, which I'm stoked about. Starbucks, you got to have it, right? You got to have it. But there's some other ones. So there is going to be a Target over there, UPS store, Walgreens is opening soon. But then I started looking at what else is over there. So there's Hash House a Go-Go, which I've not been to, but there's one in Orlando off of iDrive apparently, and people are really high on it. So I'm excited about that. Ovation Bistro. And so some of these are kind of more like this one, Persimmon Hollow Brewing. This one's only in downtown Orlando and downtown DeLand right now. So a local brand, which is something that I'm always preaching. Like I want much more local brands, not more big boxes. And I get it. If you're a tourist, you feel comfortable going to Starbucks. You know Starbucks. You're not curious if it's going to be good coffee or not. You either like it or not, you're going to go, right? And that's why they do well. But I think as a local, I want more of this kind of stuff. And so the fact that they're bringing in a bunch more local brands along with the Wendy's and the Starbucks and all that kind of stuff, I think is good. And so over by Flamingo Crossing, this is also where they have all of the new cast member housing. So these apartments that are like, I'm super jealous because if I was in college still, I would want to live there and work for Disney because they're like some of the coolest tech spaces and chill spaces that they have over there. But this is right outside of that. So anyways, I think it's going to be a good shopping hub. Horizon West, West Kissimmee, Celebration, all this stuff is really going to enjoy it. And you're 5 minutes from Walt Disney World. So pretty cool. So before I get too far down in here, I want to get into a couple questions. What's going on, Laura? What's going on? Reginald down the street in Watermark. Good to see you. Lisa from Edgewater. Good to see you. Connecticut, Disney girl, Connecticut. What's going on? From Brazil. We're going to talk about Brazilians. and international people here in just a minute. But thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. Let's see. Yep, just starting. Let's see. Do I think? All right, here we go. So Jay, always checking in, always insightful questions. Do I think housing around Neocity area will increase? I think the area is under the radar and underappreciated. Yes, I do, because the land is going to be cheaper. I know they spent $14 million on 25 acres or something like that, but like that's commercial land. I think that there's a huge opportunity for you to invest in residential real estate, if that's something that you're looking to do in that area, understanding that the rents aren't going to be massively through the roof because it is an emerging area. Like you have to drive 20 minutes kind of into the middle of nowhere before you really start to see it, right? I mean, it is off 91. You could pop over in 5-10 minutes, but yeah, it's not overgrown yet. And so I think that it becomes like that emerging Horizon West, that emerging Claremont that now are so expensive. These areas around this, I think, are just going to be really great. Yeah, I work for Valencia College campus, and Neocity is right across the street. It's looking really great so far. Yeah, they're doing a really great job, and they're bringing in high paying jobs here. Which, everybody says Orlando has theme park jobs, tourism jobs, and they're low paying. Well, for one, Disney's bringing a lot of higher paying jobs to Orlando, which is great. But there's a lot of other places that are hiring, moving their headquarters here, moving their second, third headquarters here, and bringing in higher paying jobs. And I think that that's an amazing thing for all of us, for sure. Farmer George, how is Miami? So I went down to Miami. For those of you who didn't see, man, that video bombed, Farmer George. I thought it was going to be cool. I compared Shaq's house to a $16 million house I found in Miami. This listing agent invited me out. Amazing house. Apparently Drake saw it like 2 days before I saw it. So really cool house. Video didn't do well, but such is life. I did get some Cuban espresso. They hooked me up when I was down there. It was good times. I was wired for a day and a half. All right. Let's see. Yeah, slow to build is an understatement. The mark is nowhere near complete. They're moving very slow. I suspect it will be next year before they move in. Yeah, so if you're thinking, yeah, slow to build in art. It was interesting. You think like Lake Nona, I've said this a million times before, you're probably sick of hearing it. Lake Nona did it right. They started with commercial and jobs and then added residential, and now they're backfilling with retail. I think that's the way to do an area. In Horizon West, it was just a ton of houses, no retail, no jobs, no commercial, no nothing. And now that the majority of the houses are here, they're finally backfilling with retail. And it's taken a while, right? The mark is going to be nice. There's going to be New York City Brewing Company there. I think I said that right. Yeah, New York City Brewing Company, Starbucks, obviously, a bunch of other just kind of stuff you need on a day-to-day basis, right? 7-Eleven. This is going to be good. They're finally building it in. And Hamlin, all the stuff that they've announced with Hamlin, which I talked about 2 weeks ago, the pop stroke and all that stuff. So that'll be nice. What's going on, Steve? Good to see you, my brother. Jeremiah, appreciate you checking in, my friend. No, so when is Neocity going to be complete? I think it's like decades in the making. Like I think they're going to be continually improving and finishing this out over the next 10 to 15 years. That would be my guesstimate based on all the preliminary plans that I've seen. What's up, Danny? Good to see you, my friend. UK checking in. Yeah, I mean, so Jay mentions a really good point. Lake Nona is well beyond the median income for many people. And so, yeah, if you want to start pushing out, I mean, right now I tell a lot of people, actually, let's get into that story next, because this is going to be a good one for those of you that maybe can't afford, like, say, the Lake Nona area. But Jay mentions a good point, is that so many of these things are out of many people's reach, this new construction. And so where should you be looking? Well, if you're willing to go west, I think you should be looking at our next story here, which is Dreamfinders buys final 3 phases of the Hills of Mineola. And where is the Hills of Mineola? Where the heck is Mineola in general, right? So what you're going to do is come up 20, either going to come up 27. How did I get rid of this thing? There we go. You're either going to come up 27, just to give you some baseline here, right? You've got Disney all right here. You've got 429 up to Horizon West right here. And then up this way, you've got Claremont. And then just beyond Claremont to the north is Mineola. And they're doing a lot of new construction there. And the great thing about this purchase by Dreamfinders and the rest of the builders that are in the area, you can get new construction starting in the low 300s. with like actual things coming along. So you got like this empty Claremont land attracts Costco, Floor and Decor, and more. And so like you're getting a lot of these like Lake County major retailers starting to start popping up, and that's right in this area, actually not too far from where this is. So it's interesting. I think that you're starting to see this push out onto like more affordable places, and because of that, they need more retail, they need more commercial, which is all great. I think Neocity is going to be one of that, and then off to the east, you're going to continue to see like Oviedo is doing extremely well. We've got a new Oviedo video dropping on Tuesday, why people love living there. We did some man on the street / history, and that video comes out on Tuesday. So yeah, the core of Orlando is getting really expensive, and so people are pushing out to be able to get those more affordable median, you know, 300, 350, $400,000 houses. So yeah. What's up, Josh? Good to see you, man. I love following you on Instagram, seeing what's going on in life. It's good to see you. So Laura asks, what's the timeline for Disney's 55 and older community? I talked to 2 people from Disney this week, and they said that it's not even like official. Like, I know that the story broke and things are like that, but it's not like started. So I think that they're still working through many of those things. Many of you Disney people can correct me after the show for sure, but that's what I heard from people that know in the real estate space in Disney. Yeah. So James asks, what's the average household income for Lake Nona Laureate Park, or recommended income to comfortably afford it? Well, I mean, you know, if you depend on the guru that you follow, you really probably should keep your household expenses under 30% of your income. So that's like taxes, real estate, utilities, insurance, HOA, all in your household income, 25 to 30%. So of your net. And so figure out, you know, if you want to talk to a lender, I can put you in contact, because it's really going to depend on like, are you buying a townhome? Are you buying one of the more expensive houses? How much are you putting down? Are you going VA? Are you know, all of these kind of things. So there's a lot of factors, but I'm happy to go in there. I would say average sales price for Laureate Park right now is, when you include townhomes all the way up, it's in the $500,000 range. So yeah. Tracy says, what's going on with Horizon West? There's like zero infrastructure. Yeah, I tell you what though, when I moved here not that long ago, 5-6 years ago, Seidel Road was like a 2-lane highway that had no traffic. Avalon Road was basically felt like a back farm woods, you know, kind of thing. And now Seidel and Summer Lake and Avalon, they're 4-lane highways. There's tons of traffic, new lights going up. So they're doing it okay. You know, I think that the fact that you can still get around without getting caught in a bunch of traffic. You can still pop in and out of Disney fairly easy. I think it's good. But yeah, the infrastructure is tough. there's kind of wild. Oh, it's so funny. Ben says to quote Paul Revere, the British are coming. For all of us, it'll be next year though, but I can't wait. Last time it was the end of 2020, or March of 2020. So let's actually get into that. Great segue, Mr. Ben. I appreciate you. So realtors, those realtors out there, my people, realtors expect return of international travel to spur luxury housing market. If you guys saw the $6 million home that I did a video on in Reunion, that sold this week, cash, $5.9 million to a Canadian investor. And we are, you know, for the past 18 months, our international travel obviously has been practically zero. And so our international investment has been practically zero. And so you've got a lot of other people that couldn't leave the country. So instead of going to the UK or wherever to vacation or spend their money, they were coming to Florida and spending their money like crazy, buying second homes here. And so now, as international travel starts to open up, it got announced this week that the UK is going to be able to, people are going to start coming here for travel again, it seems like. I do believe that international investment is going to help spur a lot of things, not just the luxury market, like the Orlando Business Journal said here today. Look at that Guy Fieri. Guy Fieri, he's opening up another Chicken Guy in Winter Park, which I'm kind of excited about. I like Chicken Guy. You know, so anyway, so they're talking about how they feel that a lot of people are backlogged in wanting to come here and purchase homes. And so I'll tell you what, I've got a lot of clients that are in the UK and in Canada and in Brazil, all are texting me or WhatsApping me like, dude, I can't wait to come back and use my house. I can't even use it right now. It's insane. I've got this house that I just bought 2 years ago. can't even come over and use it. And so, but I've had probably 10 times that many people saying, as soon as the world opens up, I'm coming to buy a second home here. And so I think it'll be good for Orlando. You got a lot of these new jobs coming in, people flying here, moving here from all over the world. And then this international market opens up as well. I think it'll be good. Dude, yeah, can you imagine how busy all the parks are going to be once international travel comes back? Yes. Yeah, it's gonna be wild. So let's get into like sort of the whole title of this video, which is that the builders in Orlando are lagging behind. I have no shortage of ancillary stories to tell you guys what I've been dealing with over the past week or two. Many of you know that I'm building a townhome in Laureate Park as an investment property for us. We were supposed to close next week. We don't even have windows. I've got other clients that are up and down the road. They were supposed to break ground 2 months ago, haven't even broken ground yet. And so a lot of these builders, Laureate Park 2, which is like, for those of you who don't know, you've got Lake Nona, which is this big 17-mile square area around by the airport. You've got Laureate Park, which is like their crown jewel of a neighborhood, if you will. Next door to it, that's pretty much sold out. Right next to it, they're going to build another 900 homes and call it Laureate Park 2. They were supposed to release lots a month ago, and then last week, and now they're pushing it a few more weeks. And it's just an interesting thing where I'm seeing builders start reaching out to me saying like, hey, traffic has slowed down a little bit. We were expecting that things were going to continue to go kind of crazy, but it's just not as like feverish as it was a month ago. And we're trying to make a decision, like, is that because people are just getting tired of the process? Is the market actually slowing down? Where do we go from here? I have noticed that my marketing that I've been receiving from builders as a realtor, hey, bring your clients out. These are our spec homes. These are what we've got for inventory. I wasn't getting any of that in the summer because things were selling so fast. They didn't have to even reach out to agents anymore. Now it's 10 to 15 new emails a day from different builders like, hey, please bring your buyers by. That stuff to me is a signal that, again, either buyers are getting a little tired, B, things are slowing down, C, it could be just the time of year. September, October is typically our slower time of the year. It's something to watch. So then, I start jumping into things over here where it's like, okay, what's going on with our market? And this is something that I do every other week, is like, this is the market watch for our area. I pull up all the 5 county areas that kind of represent Central Florida. And I say, okay, over the past 7 days, what's a good market snapshot? So we've got new listings here, 769 new listings. You got 335, so 50% almost had a price decrease. That's a marker that things are starting to maybe slow. You also have 273. So like 50% of the listings coming on, and then 50% of the ones going pending, like a significant amount of them are coming back on the market. Why? Right? It's because of inspections, because of appraisals, because of bad mortgages. Interesting. Like all of these stats are starting to kind of like pique my interest to where it used to be like, 800 new listings and 1,200 sold. Right now, those numbers are getting really close to each other, which means that if you watch days on market and you start thinking to yourself, like, what's going on? Now, our listings that we're taking as a team, we were, 3 months ago seeing 20 offers, 27 offers, just craziness. And then all of a sudden now we're down to like 4 offers, 6 offers. Not as crazy, just full price, a little bit over asking. Nothing, it's not like, hey, I have to sell my kidney to get a house. It's like not as bad as you'd think. But the inventory, like I mentioned when I first started this, I was just looking at Hunters Creek for a client, and they're like, hey, I'm just looking for a pool home up to $600,000-700,000. There's just nothing on the market. So that's just all of these little indicators. I'm like a student of this stuff, like paying attention every single week, tracking it. Where are we at? Days on market, new listings, new pendings, inventory in general. And so what I'm seeing is that we're just not as crazy as we were. It's still a seller's market, but it's just not as crazy. I don't know. What do you guys think? So Tracy, I would say Waterley is a great neighborhood. It's got amazing amenities, like really good amenities. They've got 3 of them. It's a big neighborhood. It's a really big neighborhood. You get a medium quality house for a medium price. It's not the highest end builder quality. It's not the lowest. It's kind of right in the middle, and the neighborhood itself is pretty fantastic. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, King of Premium. I'm starting to see a lot of properties with apartments in the garage in the Horizon West area. Do you see a lot of people do short-term retails or long-term? So in Horizon West, you're not supposed to do Airbnbs at all. Have I seen them pop up on Airbnb.com? For sure. If somebody in the neighborhood decided to turn them into the HOA board, many of these had fines of like $300, $400, $500 per occurrence. But for the most part, the HOAs are pretty strict on those kind of things. You can rent out a garage apartment for a year, and you see that a lot in like Horizon West, a lot in Lake Nona. There's other places that you see like the garage apartment getting rented out for like $1,000 a month, $1,200 a month. It's good. I mean, in terms of like offsetting your taxes, your insurance, your HOA, I think it's good. Yeah, I don't know. So DZ, so with this data, is it possible to see a significant downturn in pricing? Also, things such as rates increase possible down the road. So yes, I think that if right now, the interest rates started ticking up, I think that we would start to see prices completely flatline. Right now, prices are still increasing over the past 60 days. When you pull out average, just picking out from different areas, average price per square foot still going up. Average listing sales price still going up. When you look at the list to sales ratio, meaning like what did it get listed for versus what it sold for, still really right where it's at. So I don't see any pullback yet, but demand is slowing down. And if that continues, that will have an effect on our market. So we shall see. Yeah. So again, this is normally a slower time for home sales. We usually have a slower September, and then a crazy October, November, December. January slows a little bit, and then we're back off to the races in February. So, but we don't see these like I'm from in Michigan. It was like, sales would go crazy through September and then tank until March. Like we don't see these like really peaks and valleys. It's like 90% of what we're used to versus like 100% all open. If that makes sense. Dude, so yeah, Charlie, it's interesting. Surprised Laureate Park 2 doesn't try putting out the lots and see the interest at this point. There's zero info out there. There's zero infrastructure out there. That's the problem. You've got Summerdale. They've got Summerdale right up the road by Dreamfinders. Dreamfinders has almost sold out completely all of the lots they have in Summerdale, and there's like no roads. There's like you don't even there's not even like a model home you can see, and they've already sold it out. So like, and Dreamfinders and Craft have the majority of the lots so far in Laureate Park 2. So like, I've talked to them this week, and both of them were like, we didn't have models, we didn't have pricing, we didn't have anything. We were getting ready to launch, but we didn't have our game plan together. So we're going to pull back and wait and see what happens. Yeah, Josh lives in Waterley. He can speak to it for sure. It's a good one, but the builder quality isn't the best. Yeah. What happens with Josh says it perfectly. So it's amazing neighborhood. You've got nature trails, ponds, tons of amenities, but the builder quality just isn't the best. So we have a lot of people doing is they'll buy a house and then they'll rip out the flooring, put their own nice flooring in. Some of the countertops are probably great, but just they finish it out. New light fixtures, new flooring, some different things to make it look a little bit more custom. And then you're good. You're good from there. And the cool thing I do like about Waterley and D.R. Horton is that they're building 2 stories of block construction. So just, I think longer term, you're going to have a better quality house. Well, Jay says, seller needs to be less selfish. If you're making $100,000 on a house, why bicker with 10 grand? Just sell and move on. But here's what the thing is. They've been told by the news, they've been told by their friends that the market is insane. And so they're going to overprice it. If your house is worth 700,000, why not try 750 is what they think. Instead of looking at the comparables and saying, okay, if it's worth 750, let's list it for 750. Or sorry, if it's worth 700, list it for 700, and then see if the market takes us to 750. That's honestly the best way to go. What's wrong with this mic today? That's honestly the best way to go. List it at what the market is, and then let the buyers pull it back up, because then you've got more leverage to say, listen, if you want to overpay for the house, I need you to waive appraisal. I need you to dig in and pay more than I'm asking. instead of going really high and then having to decrease. Now you're like, oh, that doesn't look good. No, never dumb question. So, what's a garage apartment? So, a garage apartment would be like if you have a detached garage, which we see a lot of here in Central Florida, and then they built an apartment above the garage that has its own separate entrance, its own AC, its own water tank, own laundry room, just a completely separate unit. A lot of people use them for guest houses, or you can rent them out and then cover some of your costs, which is kind of a little house hack there. What's going on, Otto from the Netherlands? Any news on an epic universe? I hadn't even checked this week. I've been checking for new stuff coming out. Yeah, there's been no like new articles or anything like that since like early August was the last kind of announcement that they had. I'm definitely very excited to hear how that land kind of unfolds for sure. Yeah, somebody I wanted to take advantage of the hot market while they could. Very interested that they moved before infrastructure being there. Yeah, exactly. And they were about to do the same with Laureate Park. And I don't know these companies behind the scenes or anything like that. I know a lot of their salespeople. I know some of their executives, but like they don't tell me all of the behind the scenes stuff. But when I just look at the land and I see like all of the pipes that are supposed to be underground or still above ground in piles over in the corners, I'm like, yeah, you're a little behind. And when people are expecting an 8-month build time and they're getting a 15-month build time, you get issues. You get people that are a little upset. So let's keep going on a couple more stories here. I thought it would pop up here real quick. So here we go. This is a new neighborhood that I thought was pretty cool. So the bricks at the packing district. So this is actually downtown, and let me just kind of fill you in where this is. Let's see if it's even on the thing yet. That's not it. Let's try Silver Star. There we go. There we go. All right. So this is this new neighborhood by Toll Brothers. And for those of you that have watched in the past, Toll Brothers is actually one of my favorite builders in terms of the production style. They're good. They have like a good quality build. They do a good job. I think that overall, from production standpoint, their standards are probably the best out there. They're always a little bit more expensive than anybody, but that's because they start at a little bit higher. So they're building these like townhouses here in an area that's honestly, if I'm going to be completely serious, like it's kind of a little unsavory. Like it's not as desirable as I would assume that Toll Brothers would be building in. But here we go. This is an interesting. There we go. There's a nice little map. So this is where they're building. They've got lots of land over here by the country club of Orlando. And then you kind of go off west here and it's just industrial, not really built out, but like you're not that far from like Winter Park up here. You got Bishopmore Catholic High over here. You've got College Park, which is a great. If you don't know what College Park is like it's a city. It's part of the city of Orlando. It's 32804 is the zip code. You've got a lot of these like mid mod houses that were built in the 50s and 40s, and single story, 1,200 square feet block homes, but people are renovating them like crazy. And so right next to it, right next to College Park, they're building this new thing called the packing district. So you had all of these old like Orange Grove people and industrial stuff that they're kind of converting all of that land into something a little bit cooler. And so when you look at the packing district, let's see, I think it's cool. I love sort of all of the stuff that's coming here. You've got the Canary. This is actually an apartment building that's going in right now. Like this will be done. It actually looks exactly like this right now. And so I think that it's cool when they're taking all these old projects, tearing stuff down that looks just like you're going to get tetanus when you walk down the street to like this new, fresh. They're spending a ton of money here. I think this is good. And so this is what they're building here, though. These kind of townhomes starting in the 400s. My guess is that you'll end up somewhere in the fives. But if you kind of like that, and they're 1,400 square feet up to 2,059 square feet. And it can be lock and go for you. Here's kind of some of the styles of the houses. So my curiosity, because this is very not Orlando. I'll be honest. I like it first and foremost. I like it a lot, but this is very not Orlando. And so I'm curious to you guys, if you're interested in this kind of stuff, what do you think? What do you think? You guys drop some comments below about what you see here. I got to plug in my computer. Forgot to bring my cord. Hold on. There we go. All right. Any loft apartments in Central Florida area? So you've got like loft apartments, not like this traditional style. Sorry, Cody asks, any loft apartments? When you think about like the traditional, like super high ceilings and, not really. The View has some really nice, like 18-foot ceilings in some of their apartments. Hasn't really hit us in that style just yet. I'm assuming Toll Brothers is expecting that area to develop more, especially since it's close to Winter Park. Yeah, I mean, you do have I-4 splitting you, though, right? So you're on the west side. I think they're trying to pick up like, hey, College Park now, like a little small house is in the 500s. So we can get something in a townhome for in the 400s, but still have the proximity of living downtown. The amount of stuff going on downtown instead of in regards to investment is actually phenomenal. Like the Orlando Magic organization, they're creating their sports and entertainment facilities down there, spending hundreds of millions of dollars. You've got the city investing a lot of new buildings, a lot of new apartments. Valencia going up to just north of where the Orlando Magic is. There's like $1 billion development going on there for Creative Village. So I think that's some of the stuff that they're trying to take on is like, hey, they're building for the future. You're buying here, hoping that stuff continues to come on. And so, yeah. No. So is the Detroit market where you're from as hot as the Orlando market? No, not really. Do you think that same sales results as Orlando, the Orlando market is abnormal as a fad caused by the pandemic? I don't think so. I mean, so here's the crazy thing is we were doing extremely well. We were doing extremely well before the pandemic. I mean, our market was continuing to go up. Now, was it going up 10% a year? No, but it was going up 5% a year, which is like slightly higher than a lot of the other places in the country. And then the pandemic hit and I thought we were in trouble. I thought we were in big trouble and then completely changed. Yeah. All right. So Paul James asks, do I have any recommendations of the best communities in Horizon West close to Disney? So really all of Horizon West is close to Disney. My curiosity to you is like, what would be best to you? Because best is different for everybody. Is it amenity? Is it build quality? Is it home style type? All those kind of things. So what does a best mean to you? And then I can help narrow that in for you. My backyard science says, where are we going to get all these delicious Florida oranges when the groves are being turned into houses? Well, so like that was actually like in the packing district. That's where they would send the old oranges when Orange County was actually a big orange producer. We're actually not a big orange producer anymore. Back in, I think it was the 70s, 60s, 70s, we had this massive freeze here, which then caused all of the orange grove people to go farther south so that they get away from it. And so that's why Orange County, really, you don't have many oranges that come from us anymore. Horizon West, where I live, used to be orange groves, the whole thing. And all of these orange grove farmers got together and then ended up turning it into Horizon West and selling it off to like Boyd Development, who finalized the project. But yeah, I laugh about that because I'm like, Orange County, we should have like a ton of oranges. And then no, not so much. Question by Carrie. So we notice a lot of the older homes in Celebration are wood frame versus concrete block. Is that a big deal? So I think that as long as you get a great home inspection and they're looking for bugs, and then you keep your termite bond on the house, and then you're keeping water outside of the house as well, meaning like taking care of water extrusion, making sure that if you've got, put some gutters on your house, get the water away from your home, making sure that like stuff's not just sitting by your house, you'll be fine. I mean, they built houses out of wood forever. But yeah, like North Village and some of the other places in Celebration, they built them out of wood originally, and not as ideal as concrete for sure. But if you know what you're getting and you know how to maintain it, you're fine. And in terms of like value down the road, I don't think you have like a major issue there. Yeah. So Charlie, are they going to delay Laurel Point too? I think I heard that even if the roads or something going in, including models, I think Horizon West Community is opening soon. Yeah, you nailed it. So the Horizon West Community, which is West Haven in just over by Flamingo Crossing, which I talked about earlier today, they are getting ready to launch in late September. So like I think this coming week, actually, they're going to start going through their VIP list. They're not going to do like the formal announcement until early October, but they've got some great models that they've released there. And I know all the sales folks there. So just if you have questions about it, let me know. But Laurel Point in Lake Nona, it does sound like they are a little bit behind on that as well. And so here you go. You have like dozens of builders are behind on their development and or their delivery of the builder right now. And so and they're blaming it on literally everything. Sometimes the builders are blaming it on developers. The builders are blaming it on the supply chain. Everybody's pointing fingers at everybody, and it's very frustrating if you're a home buyer because you're like, hey, I've got an apartment that's about done, and I either need to renew my apartment or renew my lease, or I need to sell my home in order to buy this one. It's very frustrating as a home buyer right now to do new construction in many areas, and so like that's what my team and we have multiple meetings every week on like which builder is doing what, based on like, are they doing highest and best? Are they doing just model homes, spec homes and selling it? It's a confusing time out there because 2 years ago, I could have told you what 99% of buyers or builders were doing because they all did the same thing. And now it's kind of the Wild West, and they're treating buyers not as good as they used to, unfortunately, many of these guys, because they're like, hey, if you don't want the house that we build you, we'll give you your deposit back, sell it for more to a buyer that doesn't care. It's a interesting time for sure. Checking out Haines City and suggestions. Okay. It's good coffee. So Haines City is a really good, affordable spot. Let me show you where it's at on the map. I'm sure you've already pulled it up, but just to give you an idea of like some things to think about when you're looking in Haines City. Much like where, let me pull this up for you. Here we go. All right. So look at all those lakes, by the way. Goodness gracious. There's so many lakes in Orlando. Natural ones, right? Like you've got the ponds everywhere because for water management, but geez, there's a lot of lakes here. All right. So you've got Haines City's all down here. Really, you've got a couple ways to get here. You're going to come down 27 or 17, but you're pretty far off the I-4 range, right? And to get all the way up and over to like Celebration and or the airport or Disney or way downtown Orlando, it's pretty far. But you're able to build new construction in the 200s still. And so if your budget is in the 200s and you want something newer, or maybe you're willing to go up to 300 and you want a brand new house, that's your option, right? And the builders they're doing very basic everything from Mica countertops, not including a lot of stuff in the house to begin with. But that's one of the very few places I know that there's a lot of new construction homes. Like D.R. Horton is doing, I think they call it their Freedom House line or something like that, where it's just like they finish the house and they sell it when it's done instead of letting you choose everything. And but you can get something brand new in the low 300s if you're willing to drive that like 30 to 40 minutes to kind of get to everything. And then eventually you're going to have more and more infrastructure around you, but it's just going to take a long time because a lot of these builders, like the reason why Lake Nona doesn't have a Trader Joe's or a Whole Foods yet is because they've been waiting for the average income to finally catch up in the area. So Lake Nona itself, high income, but right around there, not as much yet. So they've been doing all of these studies over the past 10 years, and the people of Lake Nona are like, can we just get a Trader Joe's, Whole Foods? What's going on here? And finally, things are catching up to where they're starting to input a lot of these things, Sprouts Market, different things like that. But in Haines City, it's going to take a long time for developers to think like, it makes sense for us to finally invest in the area. So just some things to think about. Again, nothing wrong with them. Beautiful new home, high 200s, low 300s. But just think about those things when you're going to it. You're not grumpy today. What's going on? Why not? Your name is Grumpy Rich. So if you're not grumpy today, I'm sure you got some good news, maybe. I don't know. Reginald, they don't have, yeah, dude. I mean, you're down the street too, so I mean, all this area is just now getting finished out, and so Horizon West just got its first target, right? I mean, like we're just finally getting that. So there's the median income just hasn't hit where a lot of these guys want it to be. The Oviedo market's fantastic. It's really good. I was literally just up there 3 days ago shooting this video, and I was shocked to see how much new commercial, new retail, new neighborhoods, but the pricing is interesting. And for those of you that don't know, we'll just keep going back to the map because why not? I think the map's helpful. If it's helpful for you guys, drop a comment. That'll be helpful. Oviedo, we're way up here. Okay, so let me do the map. This is even easier to see on the screen. So Oviedo's all the way up here. You've got the University of Florida, go UCF, Knights, Big 12 conference now. They're moving on up. So you're 15 minutes from UCF to go up here. Here's an interesting fact. UCF has almost 70,000 kids that go there, of which the majority of them aren't from Orlando. So people are flying in from all over to go to school there. 50% of the kids graduate with zero college debt, which I think is a big deal because in-state tuition for Florida is kind of low. And they're getting like more and more like big programs, like doctorate programs. And like, it's not just a normal state school. Like they're ranking well in a lot of different ways, sports included. But I'll chill on that for a minute. Okay, so here's Oviedo. You've got like Winter Park. I get a lot of people that start their search in Winter Park and then they realize it's an average of $1 million to purchase a home there, and they want to be close to downtown because they live in downtown Orlando and they want to live there. But you can be up to Oviedo in like 25 to 30 minutes. Get really well-rated schools, newer construction, and or if you're looking for land, like if you're like, oh, I want a half-acre property, like that actually exists up there. So for a lot of reasons, we're selling a lot more houses in Oviedo. And so I think it's cool. I think it's good. Hopefully that's helpful, Cody. I appreciate it. So that's why he's not grumpy, is because he's watching our vlog here. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. So we've got about 12 more minutes, so we're wrapping up. So if you have questions, burning questions, you think they're good questions, or you're really not even sure if it is, drop it down below. We'll try to answer these before we wrap up today. Yeah, so Jeremiah, it's the biggest university in the country. I think it goes back and forth between like Arizona State and UCF. I think you're right. I think it goes like it's either one or two for sure. And here's the interesting thing about UCF is that I was talking about one of their educators there, and he told me that the majority of people aren't from Orlando, but once they graduate from UCF, they don't leave. So like that's part of our population plan, is just like, let's just keep recruiting college kids, and then hopefully they don't leave. And as the school gets better, you're training up better quality talent, which is going to demand hopefully better pay, and then round and round we go. I appreciate that. Yeah, so I got to figure this out better than like just Apple Maps. I feel like there has to be something better. I mean, it's easy to use. Maybe I still need to figure out that clicker, that cursor thing, so that you guys can like follow it bouncing around the map. That would probably be easier, especially if you're rewatching this on mobile. Chad, so I understand that there's 5 builders that have been chosen for Sunbridge, and that by the end of the year or Q1 of next year, we will know what their layouts are going to be. They did release a whole like layout of the first town center in Sunbridge and kind of like where the first neighborhoods are going to be. But it is going to be Ashton Woods, Craft Homes, Dreamfinders, Toll Brothers, and David Weekley, I believe, are the 5. It's going to be nice. It's going to be really nice. I think especially as you get more access to Narcoossee, that Sunbridge area is going to be sweet. But it sounds like late Q4, early Q1. Jay, that's a good question, man. This is a really good question, man. So are we helping a lot of sellers move away? I'll tell you, last year we had a lot of people who owned second homes here that were nervous because their Airbnb income originally was starting to dry up because people weren't traveling anywhere outside of their city. But then as soon as COVID restrictions slowed down, the Airbnb market exploded and we stopped seeing that. So it was like a good 3-month period last year where we were having a ton of sellers dump their properties. Some of our best deals that we got for our buyers, though, were during those times because they bought when they're like the contrarian buyer, right? When there's blood in the streets, you buy. But right now I get a lot of people calling us to just like right size, upsize, downsize, move within Orlando. Not a lot of people leaving, but they're like, hey, we bought this house as a second home. Now we're flying down to become full-time residents. I get that a lot now. Not a lot, man. Not a lot. Ethan, so new construction has always kind of led the way in terms of pricing. So resale, you get a lot more emotional out of buyers because they see the finished product, and you get the multiple offers, the wave appraisals, the crazy things that happen and to buyers in these markets. And so when you look at it from a price per square foot model, resale is still slightly less than new construction. Builders are just slower to react to a lot of things. The other beautiful thing is if you can find a builder who's doing new construction from the ground up, and you're building, if you pick your lot, you pick your model, prices continue to appreciate all the way through closing. And so by the time you close, you're moving in with equity. Whereas on the resale side, you're paying market value for whatever that would be. So overall, even though it's a kind of crap show with a lot of these builders right now, you're still going to get a better deal, typically new construction wise. Yeah, they're moving land over there right now, and so I've been getting conflicting stories as well, because the Orlando Business Journal said that, hey, listen, we've got this new Disney's temporary housing before the big housing gets developed, and then I've heard a couple times this week that they might not even be using that space. It hasn't been officially announced, so I don't know if the Disney's like holding that news a little bit close to the chest or not. But they are the place that was originally announced where their temporary home is going to be. They are moving dirt and things are moving along. But if Disney doesn't use the building, Tavistock will just rent it out to somebody else. So we'll see there. Pros and cons of Dr. Phillips versus Horizon West. Dr. Phillips has a lot of gated neighborhoods. It's super close to Universal. They do have great schools as well, a lot of retail. It is closer to Universal, so that could be a pro or a con. You do have some older neighborhoods. So if you're a fan of older homes like me, that you want to remodel something beautiful that's a little bit older, they have that opportunity in Dr. Phillips. Pricing there has definitely gotten more expensive than Horizon West. Horizon West doesn't have any gated neighborhoods at all. Most of the homes have been built within the past 10 to 12 years. And you're really, really close to Disney instead of being close to Universal. So some pros and cons. So where's the best place to buy investment land? Oh, good question, because I've been looking to do the same myself. I think you just get right outside the bubble, right, of like where everybody's buying, and then that's where you're buying some of the land. So I think the outer edges of Claremont, Mineola, like I mentioned earlier, maybe down like St. Cloud area, that's like just outside of where people are looking to purchase right now. And then you sit on something, and if you're willing to do it for a really long time, possible. Oh, George. I'm glad you like it's a good school. Good for you. Yeah, Charlie, exactly. So it says now early 2022. Yeah, that's the same story that they've been saying for a while now. But again, they started releasing like who the builders were. Those builders are working towards entitlements or taking over those entitlements. So at least things are moving. Yeah, for sure. Of course, man. Can I see Universal buying property and selling homes like Disney? I have this conversation with people often, actually. I don't know that there's as a big of an emotional tie to Universal, because Universal is such a massive product, right? They have so many different kind of things. Whereas like if you're a Disney family, you're a Disney family, if that makes sense. Like you have a little bit of an emotional tie to the brand. And because of that, you think about bringing that into your own home. And that's why I think Celebration did well. Golden Oak obviously has done extremely well. And Disney will continue to do well into the housing market in whatever foyer they decide to go. Universal, on the other hand, I don't know many people that have that like connection. And because of that lack of connection, I think that they would have a hard time doing residential development beyond like apartments. They own some of the housing for their team members. And I think that's about where I would stay if I was them. They kind of stay in their lane of like Hollywood Horror Nights and building amazing parks and kind of coming up. I think their theming can get a lot better in between the parks. That's a whole nother story. But yeah, it's a good question. I think about it often. Ethan, I'm not sure if they're going to build an Avengers campus in Orlando. My guess is that they have all of these rules with Universal on the whole like Mississippi thing. That's a good question that I don't know. So if you know about this, if they could build Avengers here with the Marvel characters, drop Drop the answer down below because I'm not quite sure. Charlie, this is a very good question by you. Has Island Village been doing? I talked to their sales team this week, and they're telling me that things have, like, they actually were one of the builders that started calling and marketing. They're still not wanting to work with realtors, which is weird, but you're seeing a lot of their marketing. And so a lot of it because people are like, hey, we have hundreds of buyers that want to purchase here. Now they've gotten through that entire list and they're like, hey, we're going to still continue to sell on our own for the next few months. And then we're going to start partnering with realtors. But the fact that their marketing department is like now a machine trying to get people to show up, which sort of signaled to me that things have slowed down. And so I did ask, like, how are you guys doing? Like, what's going on with your sales? And they said, yeah, we're pretty consistent. It wasn't like we're crazy. It was just like, yeah, we're pretty consistent. So we'll see. Yeah. So Hollywood Horror Nights, I've never been. I've never been like a horror kind of guy, horror movies, haunted houses, any of that. But then now that I'm a little bit older, I'm like, that doesn't seem too bad. Like that just seems like fun. So I do think I'm going to go this year. I got to figure that out. No way. Tim. What's up, Tim? Good to see you. My neighbor. Good to see you. Today they started. Let's look this up. Marvel, Disney, Marvel lawsuit. Marvel suing to keep rights to Avengers characters from copyright termination. Disney sues. I'll let you guys see what I'm seeing. Disney sues for control of key Marvel characters. Marvel sues comic creators, heirs to keep major character rights. Ooh. Yeah, this was just yesterday. That'll be interesting to watch. Could Marvel lose full ownership of Spider-Man? Wow. Interesting, man. Thanks for the heads up. I got to dig into that. I'm going to go crazy. Oh, speaking of a little nerdy thing as we're wrapping up for the next couple minutes, thank you, by the way, for those of you that tuned in today to hang out and talk Orlando stuff. I've got two things, if you'll stick around for me, that I'm going to share with you. One, if you haven't checked out my Instagram yet, I talked a little bit about the Orlando Reel. I've been talking about it for months. We're actually finally putting out some of our countdown assets on Instagram. My team has done an amazing job, just sort of like pulling on nostalgia, pulling on some of these really cool things that I'm just so proud of them about. It's been really cool. So make sure you follow us there. The Orlando Reel is like my side baby, if you will. Side baby? Yeah, side project. But we have a full staff that's going to be running it for me. TheOrlandoReel.com. It's going to be theme parks, real estate, and life in Orlando, which is really what we talk about here every other Saturday. What's going on with the theme parks? What's going on with real estate? What do I think is cool going on in Orlando? But we're doing it times 10. And so we're putting out new video content. We've got writers writing blogs, digging into neighborhoods, digging into schools, because it's not owned as a real estate brokerage and not being run as like real estate sales. I can talk about stuff like, or they can talk about schools and ratings and all that kind of stuff. So if you haven't signed up for a newsletter, theorlandoreal.com is where that is. Thank you for my ability to do a little bit of a promo because it's something that I'm massively excited about. We're not trying to be like, I mean, there's a lot of, there's like WDWNT, there's the Bungalower, there's some really Orlando Weekly, there's some really great blogs that have their little niche. And we're trying to kind of say, okay, as people that love Orlando, that also like theme parks, that know a lot about real estate, how can we offer a little bit better of a product that's not just like ads everywhere you see. And it's not just like breaking news. Look, there's a new cup, because that gets old to me anyways. But actual cool stories that you as a fan of either theme parks or Orlando, you're looking to buy or sell, any of that stuff's going to be useful for you. So last thing I'll show you with you today. So if you, for those of you who have seen my office back here, I've got a lot of stuff that I've bought from auctions over the years. And there's a new auction going on this weekend. And I thought I would share because some people have messaged me about like, where do you get all this stuff? I'm a little nervous to share this because it's like a little secret, but this stuff gets so expensive. I most likely just watch a lot of this stuff more than buy at this point. Although there are a couple of things I want to purchase, but this is the new one going on this weekend. I think they just started 9:45. When is this? Sold. Yeah, they're already going right now. So it's all day today and tomorrow. And there's a ton of different stuff from these like old movies, The Day That Earth Stood Still, window card, crazy cool stuff. There's Disney props in here. There's movie props in here from all different genres. So this is like the number one place that I buy a lot of my stuff from. Some stuff is still reasonably priced. Other stuff it gets insane, and that's actually fun to watch too. When you see like they've got a C3PO hand, like one of the original hands from one of the original movies, that's going to be selling, and I'm sure that's going to go for insane money. But anyways, I thought I would share with you. Van Eaton Galleries is a cool one to watch. They sent out this book actually. Like once you buy a couple things with them, they send out this book, and this is like you get a FedEx tracking number, and it's like crazy. They'll show you everything they're going to auction off. And so these are like, I keep these because they're really cool nostalgia stuff. So anyways, stuff I enjoy. I hope you guys do as well. But listen, I appreciate you guys big time. I hope you're hanging out on a Saturday. Hope you guys learned something today. You took away something that you can use. And if you're looking to buy or sell anywhere in Central Florida, we'd love to be your real estate resource of choice. But anyways, I hope you're all well. Have a great weekend. See ya.